Andre, oh Andre, I wake up each day. Your laughter lingers in every ray.
Welcome everyone to Unstoppable with Dr. Paulette Scott. Welcome to another week. I'm so excited about this week and so glad to have everyone here. If you're new to my podcast, let's go back to telling you a little bit about what Unstoppable is. You know, like all the rest of us, life will try to break you. And I know it because it tried to break me. Not long ago, I lost my husband, who was my best friend, who was my partner, my confidant, my prayer warrior. And I found myself confused, but not knowing how and why life did this to me. But one of the things I decided as I refused to stay down, I said what he's told me for years is that I am unstoppable and I had to keep going. So Unstoppable Podcast is created to allow you a place to be able to be safe and know that you're not alone and that we all go through changes in life together. This isn't just your normal podcast. This is a movement. And today I am so excited about our special guest that is coming on today. Let me tell you guys a little bit about this young lady. We have Miss Katrina Carter. First and foremost, she is a world record holder. You hear me? Best-selling author, motivational speaker, and also a certified mental health coach. She is the founder of and CEO of Incapable Bondage, T.H.R.I.V.E. And she's going to get into that and tell us all about that. So we want to welcome her. We want to hear all about what Katrina is doing now. I want this platform to be a place that she's going to use her voice to change the lives of all of us and so many. So Miss Katrina, are you there? Welcome in. Welcome in, Miss Katrina. How are you?
Hey,
Hi,
I'm
how are
great.
you?
How are you?
Wonderful. I'm so excited. I've been like on pins and needles, excited to just get this interview in with you because I'm just so inspired by your story. And I just can't wait for all of the audience and everyone out there to hear who you are, what you do. And if it's okay, can I start with first and foremost, tell us a little bit about you, your venture, your business. Tell us what's it about. Tell us all about you.
Okay. So I am Katrina Carter. I am a mom, a nana. And so my organization started in 2019. Started out as just a thought. Because I was in Walmart. Was newly married. My husband is not the person, he's not my abuse. I was newly married and I had a panic attack at Walmart. And so when they say God speaks to you at the craziest times, panic attack in Walmart, sitting in my car, and I was like, I know I can't be the only person that's going through this, that has gotten out of an abusive relationship. And so that's where Incapable Bondage Drive started. Again, it was just a thought. I started looking into venues. I started networking. I would do pop-ups and things like that just to get to know people. And I was doing like t-shirts and tumblers and those types of things. And so I said, well, since I'm one of my nonprofit, let me implement them both. But my mental health coaching, I decided to do that as well because I am in therapy. And I know that with therapy, there's still not enough sometimes when you have gone through so much what you feel is trauma. And I tell people that trauma doesn't have to be something as extensive as some things that I've gone through. That trauma can be some of the smallest things because for everybody it's different.
Yeah.
And so that's why I went into mental health coaching because I had to also, yes, I talk to my therapist every Saturday at 9 a.m., but I have to be able to function when I'm not able to talk to her or if I don't have an outlet. And so that's where my mental health coaching came into because I said, I know what I need, and I'm pretty sure other people will need it as well. So I took it upon myself to take some classes and become a certified mental health coach. So
Wow.
that's, yeah. I love what I do. I love telling my story. I absolutely love seeing other people thrive and push through just by hearing that I am someone who overcame as well. And so that's part of it.
It's amazing to hear that because you're sorta like this you're the image of what unstoppable has been created for because your
Mhm.
pain has became your purpose and you're
Yeah.
using that. And just one of the questions I have for you, and I would love to hear from you is tell me, as a person who's built success with your foundation, this nonprofit, whatever your purpose and your guides for your personal life to you're incorporating your purpose, your pain to create this foundation and guide your life. Tell me, how are you using this to connect that allows you to serve others? Or
So,
how is it making a difference in others?
yeah.
So,
So, the
the
first
first
thing I
thing I
would
would
tell
say
you guys about is I do a reveal and release challenge every year. The reveal and release challenge happens in December. It is a 4 to 6 week challenge where you come on and we talk about things that maybe you don't want to talk about. And I take you through day by day affirmations. I help you change your mindset from a negative mindset to a positive mindset. That means no matter what happens in your life, no matter what goes on, you have to find something positive for that day within that 4 to 6 weeks. And even though it may sound easy, it's actually hard for people to do.
yes.
My organization, we have vent sessions every third Wednesday. Those vent sessions are online. You do not have to have your camera on. You do not have to tell people who you are. And when you sign up, you read, that's what my instructions say. What goes on in here stays in here. And so I did those because I noticed that a lot of times we don't have a safe space to say exactly what we want to say. We are so concerned about what other people may think about us. We are so concerned, about this image, about our reputation. And so I created these vent sessions because I am also a person who is very concerned about how someone looks at me and my image and things like that. So that's what the event session. This year I took a break, but next year I would start back up doing Mindful Mondays. And
Oh,
so Mindful Mondays are it's on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I have a YouTube, a podcast. So if people want to go back and watch those episodes. So Mindful Mondays consisted of me coming on talking about domestic violence, mental health, and trauma. I have guests up, so I had some single moms to come up to talk about how is that, right, on their mental health.
right.
I had some business owners to come up as well and talk about how is that on their mental health. I had a gentleman from a TV show to come on and talk about from a male's perspective mental health. I think 1 month for men's mental health, I had 3 men on so they could talk about their mental health and what that looks like and how they overcame. And so that is how I poured back into the community. It when COVID hit, it was kind of hard for me to get out and go into shelters and things like that. And so that's why I started with Instagram and TikTok, Mindful Mondays, and doing event sessions and posting where you can come. We do affirmations. So I have affirmation cards that I've created. All of those types of things, and having people to understand that your mental health is very important. What you've gone through in life is very important, and if you need a safe space, I created that safe space because I didn't have a safe space. So that's how I pour back into whoever comes my way.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes life is always gonna life, right? And
Yeah.
often our purpose in life is tested.
Mm.
Can you share a moment of like a profound loss? And when I a profound personal loss. And when I say loss, everyone, I'm speaking of rather it is the loss of a loved one, a relationship, a sense of self, a significant income, career opportunity that triggered a period of deep grief in your life. And then once you do that for us, can you kind of tell us what seed or initial insight did you discover about your own inner strength to get through it?
So this will be my first time talking about it on public platform. I am married, but I am separated from my husband. We were married for 10 years, and I did not think that I will be where I am now. With that, I had to find myself again, and that's the journey that I'm on right now. Because my husband, like I say, he my person. In my mind, he was my person. He was and still is someone that I depend on. And it's hard to grieve someone when they're still living. And so it's hard to detach myself from him as well. Christmas Day 2023, phone call saying to go to this space where my husband was. And my husband had a drug induced psychosis, kind of. He snapped, right? And so for me, I didn't understand that. I'm kind of naive when it comes to those types of things, right? So I didn't really understand what was going on because no one called me. The person that called me is my good friend, and she was at the time was the girlfriend to his brother, and she called me.
Wow.
And so I get down there and I say, "Hey, I'm his wife," and they didn't know he had a wife. So a lot of emotions came about. And so with that, had honestly that week before, me and my husband had gotten into this whole big argument, and I decided to leave him, go down there, and this whole court process is different for me. I don't know. I get down there to, my husband and I'm down and I had to go to court the next day. And so I get to court and they tell me what his charges are. And so I wasn't working. My husband was the breadwinner. And of course I had decided to leave him, but still.
Yeah.
And so I tell the judge, like, he's the breadwinner. Like, I'm not working. Like, he can't stay in jail. And it didn't matter, you
Wow.
know? And so I had to figure out, like, who do I call? Bail bondsman. I've never gone through this process before, so I didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so bail bondsman, lawyer, those types of things. But at that point, I felt like I didn't know who my husband was. I didn't know the person that I had married because this right here. And then on top of that, I ain't gonna lie, I was embarrassed. And
Yeah.
so it was like, okay, what do I do? And I decided to put me first, which is extremely hard. I decided to walk away from my marriage, move. I had moved to my own space, and then I ended up moving away because I learned that with me, I did not know who I was without
Yeah.
being with a man.
Yeah.
My biggest thing was, what do you like to do? Who are you? And it took me years to finally say, stop what you're doing, stop putting everybody else first and figure out who you are.
Mm.
And so that is one of my biggest lessons to this today, is understanding who I am, understanding that my value does not lie within a man because that was how I was for a very long time. I had to be touched by a man or be held by a man to feel complete.
Yes.
And so right now where I am in life, I am learning who I am, what I like, what I don't like. And it's a tough road,
Yeah.
but I'm getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so cool to hear how you gathered yourself and didn't let it keep you in the same situation or in the same space. You're such a strong individual, a woman. It's so nice to be in the same space with other people that
Yeah.
are willing to be open to help others. And the fact that you do grief counseling and you help others that's been through struggles and been a mental health coach has been I'm sure amazing for you. And when I do my podcast is also, I'm a gardener, I'm a master gardener, and so I like to incorporate a lot of things when it comes to the thought process of planting your seeds, growing your harvest, and so one of the questions I have is like, let's just say that as that inner gardener in myself, and your seed you grew to help you in the midst of this healing, right? You're in this part of this healing of walking away and said, you know what, I am an individual. Tell us, like, when you were right in the middle of this healing and this grief, what role did God play first and foremost spiritually in helping you redefine your life?
So my motto for my nonprofit is healing is having earned an abundance of life interactions while nourishing great.
Mm, mm,
So that is one of my acronyms for incapable bondage. And when everything that's happened in my life. I tell people I know God was there every step of the way. Whenever I am feeling overwhelmed, I am one of those people who turn away from God, shy away from God, because I feel like I'm not doing what I should be doing. And I
Absolutely.
am learning that that's when I need to go closer to God. Like right
Yes.
now, I am in um, a group with women, and it's a Bible group. And right now we are talking about the gospel in the Bible. And I always thought gospel was the songs that we sing in church.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, right now, in this moment, I am learning to lean on God a little more. I am learning to remind him of his promise to me, what he promised me,
Yes.
why he moved me the way that he did. Even when I have those hard times, because I do suffer from depression, I have to sit there and talk to God because life gets hard for me being by myself. It gets hard because I'm somewhere where everybody is not close.
Yeah.
And I just need God's grace and I just need him to show up
Yeah.
and things. I had praying every day and understanding that my prayer doesn't have to be when my feet touch the ground. My prayer could be in the shower. My prayer could be on my way to work. My prayer can be sitting at my desk.
Yes.
My prayer when I'm, just understanding that wherever you praise God at is where He's gonna meet you at.
Yeah.
And so He's just so amazing, and I just have to continue to trust Him on this journey because
Hmm.
I don't know what He has in store for me, but I know when I trust Him, He shows up.
And show
And
out.
Yep. And when I talk to him, and I tell him my feelings and the disappointment, because I talk to God like he my best friend, I don't go and sugarcoat stuff when I talk to him, you know what I'm saying? I just be like, God, what's up? Like I asked you
Right.
not to put me on the list this time and you
Right.
put me back
Right.
on the list this time, so, and when I tell people that, they be like, well, what I say, that's my personal relationship with him because I have to talk to him like that because I'm being genuine. I don't want to go and be, ungenuine because he knows my heart. And so when it came to my marriage, I said, now God, why would you let me marry this man and then, take it, away like that,
Yeah.
So I had to
Yeah.
learn what the lesson is and not just people seeing it from the outside looking in. And when it comes to my mental health, like, I said, God, now you could have gave me anything else, what's up,
Right.
so he uses me to be an open book and he uses me just to help people and tell people my business. And I always ask him, like, why you got me telling people my business? Because
Yeah.
I don't like doing it. But whenever I meet someone and he leads me to do that, I do it because I know that I don't know what that person could be going through, but if God tells me
Yeah.
to tell them, I do.
I
So
love
that's
that.
how God has showed up. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. And one of the questions I had, and you really already led into it, was just that what specific spiritual practice or mindset that shifted you and allowed you to cultivate your new path and basically
Mhm.
your faith, and your
Yeah.
relationship with the Lord and having that communication with him, which is so amazing. And so many people feel paralyzed by grief, right? And we say
Yeah.
grief, everybody, we're saying grief because a lot of us just associate grief with a loss of a human being. But people grieve in so many ways. And
Yeah.
grief can lead us down some pathways, right, Katrina? And your
Yeah.
experience with working with many people as a mental health coach, I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of people who find other ways to try and handle their grief. And for
Yeah.
those who are currently feeling a real deep void and loss, no matter what it may be, like themselves or a job or finances or a loved one, a child, a parent, we don't know. What would be your first advice to someone like that to say, listen, how do you direct somebody to start to finding some way of help?
You first have to acknowledge that there's something going on. You first have to acknowledge that you're grieving and acknowledge that you're losing something. So the first thing is acknowledging. And then you don't really have to talk to anyone. I am a big person on journaling. writing it out, talking it out. Some people can't sit and write, so we
Mm-hmm.
have phones and technology. We can talk to the phone these days and tell the phone what's
Yeah.
going on, right? So acknowledging what's going on, feeling what you're feeling, but not sitting in them for too long. So I tell people, feel it, Don't
Yeah.
have people saying, well, when you were younger, you're falling, you scratch your knee.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say, "Oh, come on," rub it off and you go on about your business, right? Kind of like that aspect of it, but you still have to feel what you feel. Because when you fall and scrape your knee and you wipe it off and you keep on walking, later on that night or that day, you're going to feel that pain again because you didn't acknowledge what was going on at that time.
That's
So if you
good.
don't acknowledge it and you don't say, okay, this is what it is, you're going to always, always come back to that scar. It's always going to hurt because you have not taken the time to say, "Hey, this is what happened. I'm angry about this. I'm mad at this person for this, right?"
Yes.
Some people tell you, well, you can't be mad because someone left or, passed away. But you really can be,
Yeah.
because when like for me, and my husband is still living, I get mad at him because I'm like, why? Why didn't you do right?
Right.
Why is it that now I have to go through this and go through that, And then those are those times where I love on my husband, So with that, you just have to feel those feelings, acknowledge those feelings, hurt, joy, pain, anger, acknowledge them and work through them, not
Okay.
trying to rush through them, work through them one day at a time, 1 hour, one moment, 1 second at a time. And then you will see yourself being able to move through life a little more easier or with ease
Mm.
instead of you trying to show up with a smile on your face or show up to be strong and you crushing in the inside. Acknowledge what's going on and feel it. You
Yeah.
have to feel it.
That's powerful. And everyone, and to my listeners out there, we are again talking to Miss Katrina, who is the founder, CEO of a nonprofit that she brought about with her experiences in her life called Incapable Bondage. Can you tell us a little bit what the Thrive stands for, the THRIVE? I'm kind of
So
curious.
Thrive stands for trusting because when you go through certain aspects of your life, the H stands for healing. The R stands for reliving or resilience, whichever one you want
Yes.
to use. The I stands for independence. The V is for victory, and the E is for empowerment.
Mm,
And so, with that, if you listen to trusting, healing, reliving, independence, vulnerability, if you listen to what those things, victory, those are the stages of healing. Because when you're going through healing, a lot of times we may not trust people, right? We
mm-hmm,
may not understand what our healing looks like. We
mm-hmm.
may not want to relive some things, or we have to relive some things. We're trying to get back to being independent, victorious,
Yeah.
right? And then we're trying to empower ourselves. So those are the different phases of healing. So that's where Thrive comes from. And capable bondage, that part is because we are bounded by so many things in life. And when you're bounded by so many things in life, you 9 out of 10 think that you're incapable of overcoming those things. So, incapable bondage is those things that you're bounded by, and thrive is the process of you getting over or walking through that
Mm.
process. So that's why it's incapable bondage thrive.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. You go. I don't know about y'all, but I'm loving the fact that she's in my life right now. And I hope you all are just intrigued and, want more from this young lady because she has so much to offer to help in healing. And I definitely am looking forward to see your nonprofit just take off. And I know that it is because you are absolutely serving the Lord in your purpose. Tell us a little bit about just what did you do intentionally? What do you do to stay motivated and to pursue your life's desires, even when it feels difficult to get out of bed? How do you do it?
So when it feels difficult to get out of bed, sometimes I just stay in bed.
Okay, I love it.
So okay, you gotta feel the feelings. You gotta feel the feelings. So I stay in bed. But I love watching movies. I love research. I'm a big person that loves to do research. And so on those hard days, I have to remind myself of my why, which is you're doing this for the greater good of others. And then taking walks. I'm a nature person, so I like to take walks and things like that. Um, just just being outside sometimes makes it so much easier for me.
Yeah.
But like I say, when the bed don't want to let me go, I lay in the bed. And while I'm laying there, though, I'm either on my phone writing out my feelings or journaling because I have to get it out. I cannot keep it in too long because that's how my depression ends up taking the best of me. And
Yeah.
so I learned to get it out, whether I'm laying there, walking, whatever, I have to, get those feelings out.
I love that. And so when it comes to my the birthing of my podcast and incorporating my gardening, because that's a sort of part to help me heal, right? It gets me through those tough
Mhm.
days when I can go out there and look at all that fresh food out there and know it's organic. But I'm gonna take this next question and I'm gonna incorporate that mindset for our listeners too. You guys, when we're talking about healing, we're talking about life taking us through things, and we're talking about planting seeds to grow, to harvest, to just reap the benefits of our lives and what we're going on. And I want to ask you, when you're looking at your entire past and present, your journey, it's your journey. And you're looking at it from I'm looking at it from your professional success to your spiritual healing. What is the single most important lesson you want to share with our listeners about how they can turn their own gardening weeds, because we all have them, from grief into just an enduring, purposeful, beautiful life with absolute conviction?
Remember I said that my motto is healing, is having earned an abundance of life interactions while nourishing greatness.
Yes.
That in itself is what you can take. Everything that has happened to you in life has nourished you in some type of way. And when I talk about that, people look at me crazy. So I say, when you are hungry, you go and get you something to eat.
Hmm.
When you are sad, you may want to go and get that ice cream or that
Hmm.
cheeseburger, whatever the case may be. When
Hmm.
you're happy and you're celebrating, you're gonna go get something, cake or, be around people, right? So when you think about it, you're hungry, so your body wants something, nourishment, right? So
Yes.
you're gonna go feed your body. But when you're sad, your emotion wants something.
Yes.
So you have to nourish those emotions. So you go and get something, even though if you're like me, eating ice cream is not good because you're lactose, right? But in that moment, I am nourishing myself because my emotions, I need to feel good about something. And so take that lesson, right? Everything good, bad, ugly that has happened in your life has nourished you in some type of way. You have to find the good in everything that has happened in your life and understand the reason why. Okay. So when I was 12, I was touched. When I was 4, my mom abandoned me. I had my first child at 20. I was in my first abusive relationship, at 18, 19, my second one at 23, 24. And so with that, came growth. With that came empowerment because I had to sit with myself and understand why I chose to be with the men that I was with. To understand that just because those things happened to me at 4 and 12 did not mean that I don't deserve to be loved. And at
Amen.
43 years old, I am walking that path and that journey because I understand that. And it is hard to get to this place when you're doubting yourself. You don't feel like you deserve it. So with your healing, take everything that has happened, good, bad, ugly, take those things, right? And just like Miss Paulette said, those weeds, you're gonna take one weed at a time, you're gonna pull it out because it's gonna help other things around you to grow. But
Absolutely.
you have to remove the weed. I continued to live in the past for so long that I could not get past the things that happened, the abuse. I couldn't get past cheating. I couldn't get past, all of those things. And that stopped my growth. You know,
Yes.
when I would go and talk to people, I would post things on social media. My page looked so sad because I was living in the past. And
Yes.
so I had to understand that you're no longer there. that's you're no longer there. So what is it that you're going to take from it to make things better? And that's what we have to understand when you're healing. Don't sit in it at all. Take that weed and whatever it is and say, this is the reason I'm throwing it away. This is the reason it has to go. And then look at the beauty of what's going to grow afterwards. So you have to
Yes.
go through that whole process.
Yes. Katrina, do you feel like it's also important about the environment that we're in when we're trying to heal? Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit
Yes.
about what environment we should be focused on staying in and the type of people in our lives in order to get to tell us a little bit about that?
You want to make sure that you're surrounded by people that are pouring into you, not those people that are constantly reminding you of where you came from,
Yes.
not those people who fake like they're happy for you, right?
Yes.
And then for yourself as well, what you have at home, you want to make sure that there's light. There's something there that you can look at and remind you of your growth and remind you where you want to go. You want the type of music that you listen to as well. You have to have positive music, something that gets you motivated. If you know that one song makes you depressed, then you may listen to that song on Monday, but then that's it. That's the last time you listen to that
I
song.
love it.
So you have to develop boundaries, and that's something that I also teach is that you have to develop boundaries. I know that boundaries for a lot of us is very hard, so that's why I say being around people who are not pouring into you. Sometimes when you're used to that type of environment, it's so hard to get out of it because that is what you're used to, right?
Right.
You don't want things to be different, and so you have to set boundaries. And setting boundaries looks like, okay, I know that, I'm about to go around, for an example, Miss Paulette, and I know that, Miss Paulette may have my ex-husband there. So I may have to tell Miss Paulette this time I can't come,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then with the music, you may have a mix or something, and that certain song comes on, you're like, no, I can't listen to that today. That's gonna bring me down, right? And so you have to set boundaries not only with people but with yourself, because we also can put ourselves back in the mindset of a very bad mindset. We can put ourselves back in depression. We can put ourselves back in different spaces, and so we have to make sure that just like we're telling people no, we're telling ourselves no, we're telling our mind no, I'm not going to think that way, and setting all those boundaries so you can, live a day, live another day.
Absolutely. And that's a powerful and Miss Katrina, I know for me and my loss of my husband here recently, just August has been I find myself having to really fight against my mindset and
Yeah.
when I don't really want to be in the space of others or get out of my bed or do anything, I can find myself going in a deep place that I
Hmm.
rely on my prayer very heavily, my prayer life, and our children have been instrumental. Because for me, like you said, it's when you're 15 and this is all you know, and this has been the most
Yes.
significant person in your life, and to celebrate his 63rd birthday and my 62nd birthday, and he's not here now. For me, I'm learning the first time everything. And so for our guests that is out there and they're looking to just want to feel like that they matter, that what they've been through matter, please tell us a little bit about how to reach you, because I think it's
Okay.
so important that we are in a circle of people who understand our
Yeah.
path, our pain, our anxiety, our pressures, our stressors, our past, of that understanding, because you really lived it. It's a difference from
Mhm.
people just go to school and get the education, but it's a whole big difference when you lived in a situation of abuse or let down or lied to or a loss, can we say. How do our guests, I want to get that one, and then I want to go into an event you have because I want them to hear about the shoe and sneaker event. So tell us again now. Just want to keep illustrating how to find you. How do we contact you?
So you can Google incapable bondage and I will pop up. I'm the only person that has incapable bondage thrive and I will pop up.
Nice.
All social media sites, you can find me in Capable Bondage. You can look up Katrina Carter. I have a website, incapablebondage.org. You can find
Okay.
me there. My link tree, if you're on link tree, you can just type in Incapable Bondage. I will pop up. So it's easy to find me. It's easy to sign up for any of the classes that I'm hosting. It's easy, easy access. And if you ever need someone to talk to as well, it's easy to reach me. My link tree has my email, my website, all of that on there. And so just reach out to me at any time. So, Miss Paulette, let me tell you about my sneaker in
Yes, I got to hear
here.
about this event and when you had it, where it was at. Tell us about it.
Yeah.
And I just love it. Every time I talk about you, I talk about this event.
Yeah. So the event was called A Walk in Their Shoes.
Mm.
And it was to spread awareness to domestic violence, mental health, and trauma. And so a lot of times we hear people say, you can't walk a day in my shoes. But I wanted to challenge people to put on a sneaker and a heel and walk a mile in the shoe.
Now,
And
men and
so
female and a sneaker
men
and a
and
heel.
women,
I love
yes,
it. I
men
love
and
it.
women. So when you take this walk, right, on this path, you had to really, really think about when your feet start hurting, where's your support system? Who can you
Mm.
depend on?
Mm.
Right? Well, a lot of times when you're going through domestic violence, you think that you don't have a support system. You don't know who to reach out to. You don't know who to talk to. Right? And so when you're walking in that sneaker and that heel and your feet start hurting, then you really have to figure out am I going to really ask somebody to grab my hand and help me walk? Right? And they in the same situation I'm in with this sneaker and this heel. You see what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Wow.
So it was for people to understand that when you ask questions about why did they stay, why did someone take their life? Why are you depressed? That is not as easy as it may seem. And I'm so thankful to the Tunica Event and Arena Center for sponsoring my event because they are the only one that saw it as a big thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I'm so thankful and grateful for that. But a walk in their shoes is something I'm going to do annually. It's something that I'm going to take around the United States. And the reason that I'm doing it is because I want everyone to understand how uncomfortable it is to be in a situation where your feet is hurting, your feet start hurting, your ankles start hurting, your back start hurting, sometimes you're sweating because you don't know what to do. And so you have to figure out what you're going to do next.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
This Tunica, that Tunica Arena, where's is that the name of the company or where's this at?
it's in Tunica, Mississippi.
Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am. And so that is something that I'm going to, like I said, do annually.
Okay.
Um,
Great.
and I also do a domestic violence simulator. That is something I did last year.
Huh.
And so that is kind of like a walk in their shoes, but instead of you actually walking the domestic violence simulator, you're the victim.
Mm.
And so that is something that, because again, people question the whys, right? People always want to ask crazy questions, why didn't you just walk away? Why didn't they just tell somebody that they was having these thoughts of, leaving here and stuff. And so I tell people it's not easy to go and tell somebody that someone's abusing you. And it's not easy to go and tell somebody that you're thinking of taking yourself out of here. Those are not easy conversations. So we can't just come up because I'm someone who suffer from both. So we can't just come up to you and say, hey, Miss Paulette, so today, uh, I don't think I want to be here no more,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have to understand that those are not easy conversations. And the people that smile the most and smile the hardest are usually the ones that are hurting the most.
Mm.
So we have to understand, if that person is always smiling and happy and things, maybe pull them to the side and say, hey, what's up? And building a trust with them so that when it is one of those really, really hard days, that they can come and talk to you.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
And that's good to know. Sometimes we're on the outside looking in, right? And we
Mhm.
don't know. And I always want to be conscious of this. Just because someone is smiling and appear to be happy don't mean they're not hurting. And so how I
Exactly.
approach people or what I think about is so important for me to not assume or judge, right? It is what it is. I can't judge people for who they may be. And if they're happy, I should feed off of that, right? On my days that I'm feeling depressed. And then I always try to
Exactly.
stay very aware of consciously what I'm hurting and what I'm feeling at that moment when I'm feeling it. And I know I work with a therapist that walks me through being okay, Paulette, with not being okay. And when I lost
Yes,
my husband, there was a huge anger with me against God and him and myself, and no answers for why my life had to drastically change. Why take the one person you gave me that was my provider
exactly.
and protector? But then also, I'm learning to look at it as maybe it was time for his work to be done in heaven and no longer here. And God had given me enough to stand on my own 2 feet. So that is, it's just so
Yeah.
powerful you say and remind us, just because the one that smiled the most, that seems the most happiest, may also be the one in the biggest pain. And I
Yes.
never looked at it like that, and I really appreciate you giving us that. And then tell us about your books. I know you got a couple books written out there. Where can we find
Oh,
some of these books?
yes, yes. So I am uploading them to Amazon, but I will also have them on my website. So I wrote an anthology with like 30 other women.
Wow.
And so that one I'm gonna upload. I have coloring books. In the coloring books, I have mental health books for teens as well. So
Good.
it's a guided journal. I also do have curriculums where I'm trying to get into school systems where I can sit down with the parents and the team to get them to better understand how to communicate with each other because I know that that's a gap as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
So those are some of the things that I do have right now. But again, I said I'm putting them back on my website.
Okay, great.
I know Miss Paulette mentioned that I'm a world record holder. So that comes from, again, me doing some things with some women I met on social media. She had a vision. The vision was to get as many women as she possibly could together to that had some type of degree to post it on social media. And we went viral with that. And that's how we are in, that's how I'm a world record holder. So
Nice.
that was something different that we did. And I think she's on like a documentary and stuff like that. But I have had a chance just to connect with some amazing women, to do some amazing things. And the reason that I did the coloring books and the journals is because we need outlets. And sometimes we don't have those outlets. And I will have my own anthology coming out next year. So you guys have to stay in tune for
Stay tuned and
that.
excited. I'm just so excited.
So
And right now
yeah,
you're saying your website. Can you give us that again?
yes, my website is incapablebondage.org.
Great. Thank
Yep.
you. Just so the listeners, okay, everybody, write that down. Incapablebondage.org. Let's make sure we find Miss Katrina Carter. And Miss Katrina, let me ask you something. For those that out there that are sponsors, I know you are a nonprofit, and
Yes.
we want to see your nonprofit just expand and grow and really be able to reach men and women, children, everybody all over the continent. How can a sponsor actually reach out to you as well? Is there a place on your website that they can connect with
Yes.
you
So
and your
there is a place on my website for sponsorship. If you don't see the level of sponsorship you would like to do, you can reach out to me, or there's
okay,
a place where you can just donate whatever it is that you feel like you want to donate. Sponsorship is a big part of my nonprofit and something that I do look for, because my goal is I'm down south, Mississippi, Memphis, Alabama, Arkansas. One
uh-huh,
of the things down south is there are not a lot of resources for mental health, and there are not a lot of shelters for domestic violence. And so, again, I'm only one person, but with sponsorships, I could possibly be able to open up a safe space. If not open up a safe space, a space in an apartment, in a building somewhere where people can come if they're trying to get out of their situation, being able to find other resources, because unfortunately, like I say, down south, there are not a lot of resources for mental health at all.
okay,
And so that's one of the things that I see is needed. So sponsorship would be able just to help me to build on the things that I would love to build on and be able to help as many people as I can, and hopefully network and bring some other organizations
yeah,
together, because I mean, having a therapist on my board would be a big thing for me because I can offer that resource, right?
yes,
a hotel that says, "Okay, Katrina, we'll give you 10 rooms, if they need assistance." So just those small things, that's because it's a big gap, down south, and it's really, really needed for women, men, and children to get the resources.
Right. Absolutely. And Miss Katrina, again, I just want to make sure our listeners understand you guys can connect with Miss Katrina. Website is again, Katrina, go ahead. I'll let you say it. I was gonna say it for you,
Okay.
but I was gonna say I'm gonna let you go ahead and tell the website. And then do
Yep.
me a favor, mention social media platforms we can find you on as well.
All right. So incapablebondage.org is my website. On Facebook, it's Incapable Bondage. On Instagram, it's Incapable Bondage. TikTok, it's Incapable Bondage. So you can find me on all of those platforms,
And then you're
and you
soon
can
gonna have your podcast, you said back, right? You will be back in a
yes.
podcast for us. And how when can we expect to watch these podcasts, young lady? I'm
Right
excited.
now, so right, you can go and watch the older ones.
Okay,
I
okay,
am on Spotify,
okay,
and the name of my podcast is Healing.
okay.
So it's H.E.A.L.I.N.G. And so it's still on Spotify. You are more than welcome to go and listen to those. On YouTube as well, it's Incapable Bonding. So they have some things on there. But my podcast will be coming back next year. I'm getting everything set up now so I can start back up. But I want it to be a little bit more, not structured, but making sure I have the right people to come on this time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's great. So everybody listen, you see she's on every platform. No reason not to. I know I'm going to go back and listen to your older podcast. So it's good to know on Spotify it's healing, but on
Yes.
YouTube it is going to be the
It's
incapable
incapable bondage.
bondage, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So that is great. Well, let me tell you something. You are a pleasure. I'm praying you come back on our show as you are progressing. And you got any events coming up?
I have some that I'm currently gonna work with people with.
Okay.
Once I'm gonna do, I used to do not just event sessions, but I would do SIP events where that helps with mental health. And so those will be listed on my website as well.
Okay.
If you are in the again Mississippi, Memphis, Alabama, Arkansas, but you'll also be able to do them virtually as well. I always making sure that I offer virtual. So again, it will be on my website, and it probably will be as soon as February or March of 2026. I always do
Nice.
something for autism.
That is wonderful. Oh, you also with autism. I love that. I have a couple grandchildren with with ones that is very low functioning autistic and one high functioning, and it's always important for people to know that autism also is not just affect the child or the individual with it, but families struggle a
Yes.
lot too with finding ways to cope. So that is so great that you are just
Mhm.
you're so versatile, and I love that. I love that. I really do. And what a blessing. So, and again, we hope you're coming back soon.
I will.
Your story is incredible. And our listeners now know how to reach you. I'm gonna say incapable bondage, you guys again.org. I want you guys to definitely look her up. If you're listening on my podcast, Unstoppable with Dr. Paulette Scott, feel free to go to my website, unstoppable.com, unstoppable with Dr. Paulette Scott.com, and you will be able to click on a link as well to find Miss Katrina Carter and get in contact with her as well, because we want this young lady's story to be heard because her story is familiar. Many people don't survive this, and she's helping us all get through it and survive it. And we want to see everyone do that. And so, before I wrap it up, any final statements or any questions, any things that you have you want to mention to our audience, you go right ahead, Miss Katrina Carter.
Just remember that healing is a process that takes reliving what has hurt you in order to walk in your purpose. Always, always remember that. That is all I have.
I love it. And finally, you guys, please remember each and every week I will share raw truth lessons, not only from my journey, but from many others. And every conversation we have is purpose to empower you to rise and rebuild and grow you. You're going from grief to growth, from family to entrepreneurship, from healing to gardening. You'll discover how to live unstoppable and create a legacy that lasts. Thank you for listening to Unstoppable with Dr. Paulette Scott and my special guest, Miss Katrina Carter. If today's conversation moves you, share it. Share it with someone who needs that hope and healing. Or remember that you're not, just remember you're not alone. It takes a village and we're out here together. And don't forget to follow and subscribe with me on YouTube, and make sure you find me on every listening podcast. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find me on Pandora. You can find this on any listening platform that's out there. So we look forward to continuing our growth and continuing to share more and more visitors with you, because together we rise, together we rebuild, and we plant our legacies. And until next time, stay unstoppable. If you were empowered by today's episode of Unstoppable, please become a subscriber on our YouTube channel and also click the notification button. That way you are notified the next podcast drops. Also, please visit us on our website at www.unstoppablewithdrpauletscott.com. On our website, you will see upcoming guest speakers. Remember, you can also catch our audio form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and all the other major audio platforms. Thank you for joining Unstoppable with Dr. Paulette Scott. Until next time, stay blessed and stay prayed up on purpose.
I search for your smile in shadows and light, but the emptiness whispers